Hey, I am Flavio, il Meeple con la camicia, and welcome to this new episode where we are going to talk about 4 little games. Yes, because thanks to Lemery Games who sponsored this video, today I'm going to show you these 4 little games that are going to be on Kickstarter, so be sure to check the link in the description for more informations. But what these games are all about? Well, let me first tell you that Lemery Games has a big mission. They travel the world to find the most ancient and beautiful games, to pack them in these beautiful boxes to bring it to you. And most of all, because they are disappearing. Today we are used to play big, complex and crunchy games with a lot of rules and components, and sometimes we forget from where they come from. From little, ancient games with few rules and few components that deserve to be played as much as the newest one. At Lemery Games they know this and want to preserve these games for this and the future generations. And they have a big formula for this Kickstarter. In fact, you can buy just one game, paying the price you want, or buy the big box, the big small box, and get all the 4 games. Now let's see how they work, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my first impressions. In Bagh Chal, one player takes the role of the tigers, who tries to capture 5 goats from the other player, who moves them to try to block the tigers. Place the mat board in the middle of the table, decide the roles. Place the tigers in the corners and the goats in the reserve. Then the game can begin. The game is played in 2 phases. In the first phase, the goat player goes first, placing a goat on the board in an intersection. Then the tiger player moves one of their tigers one space from an intersection to another. When the tiger moves, they can move to an adjacent space or capture a goat jumping over it, if there is a free space on the opposite side. That goat is removed from the game. The phase 2 starts as soon as all the remaining goats are on the board. Always alternating turns, the goat player moves one goat in an adjacent free space, they cannot jump over goats or tigers, and the tiger moves in the same way as before, trying to capture the goats. A tiger, by the way, cannot move between the same 2 spaces in consecutive turns, unless it has to. If a tiger cannot do a legal move, it's trapped until a legal move becomes available. The game ends as soon as the tiger captures 5 goats, and then the tiger player is the winner, or if all the tigers are trapped and the goat player is the winner. Or if the players perform the same moves 3 times in a row, for example, chasing each other in a triangular path, resulting in a draw. Traditionally, this game is played in a match. Each player plays each role once. If one player wins both games, they are the winner of the match. Otherwise, the players choose the roles and play another match to determine the winner. In Youth, players compete to be the first to cross the finish line with all their horses. Place the mat board in the middle of the play area, and given the player pieces to the players in their chosen color, the race can begin. Place nearby also the casting sticks. Determine the first player throwing the sticks. Whoever gets the higher result moves first with that same result. The sticks have a flat and a round surface, and based on how they land, you get a different result. With that result, you can move a horse of that exact number of spaces, or add a new horse counting from the first space. If you get a result of 4 or 5, you can immediately throw again and combine the results to move a single horse or use them separately on 2 different horses. If you start your movement in one of these spaces, you can take a shortcut. If you land one of your horses on another of your horses, you have to stack them. Now they move together. If you land on a horse or a stack of horses of another player, that horse is removed from the track and placed back in the starting positions. Then you can throw the sticks to move again. Once a horse or a stack of horses moves past the last space, they are placed in the stables. Once a player is the first to move all their horses in the stables, the game ends and that player is the winner. In Hasami Shogi, you compete with another player to capture 14 of their pieces, or have 5 of yours, adjacent in the same vertical, horizontal or diagonal row. Place the mat board in the play area, and the player pieces in their houses. The red player goes first, and then the players alternate taking turns moving their pieces. When it's your turn to move, choose a piece in your color and move it in a straight line, vertically or horizontally, as far as you want. You cannot land on occupied spaces or move through other pieces. Instead of moving, you can jump one adjacent piece horizontally or vertically if there is a free space on the other side. It could be yours or one from the opponent. Once a piece is moved from its house, it cannot move back in, and you cannot move one of your pieces in the house of the other player. If the active player manages to have any number of pieces of the enemy between 2 of their own pieces, horizontally or vertically, they are captured and removed from the game. You can also capture pieces in the corner, like in this example. But remember, if you are the active player and you move one of your pieces into any one of these traps, you are not captured. As soon as a player has 5 of their pieces adjacent in a row, column or diagonal, they win the game, or a player wins if they capture 14 of the enemy pieces. In the game of Jarmo, you try to win by having the most points at the end of the game or capturing all the enemy pieces. Place the mat board in the play area and the player pieces in the given color on their camp. The game can begin with the green player. Players alternate turns, moving their archers on the board, trying to capture the enemy pieces. On your turn, you have to move one of your pieces along a solid line. Just ignore the dotted line. You cannot move on a space occupied by one of your pieces. If you land on a space occupied by another player, that piece is captured and removed from the board. Keep it nearby. When you use an archer to capture, promote it to a guard, flipping the disc. If it was already a guard, do nothing. If you enter an enemy camp with a guard, flip it back to the archer's side. You can no longer move that piece and it can still be captured, but you can now free one of your captured pieces. Take it from the ones that have been captured and place it in one of your empty camps as an archer. If you do not have an empty camp, you cannot place it back on the board, but you can keep it aside and place it as soon as a space frees up. The game could end in 3 ways. If you manage to move all of your pieces on the enemy camps, the game ends and scores are tallied. Players get 2 points for each of their pieces in the enemy camps and 1 point for each of their other pieces on the board. Who has the most points wins. If you manage to capture all the enemy pieces, you win automatically. If both players makes the same back and forth moves 2 consecutive times, the game ends and they tally the scores based on the current positions of their pieces as explained before. Who has the most points wins. You can also play a match. Play 2 games, and if a player wins both, they win the match. If both players win 1 game, play a third to see who will be the winner of the match. As I told you, little rules but a lot of fun. And I know there will be also variants to create new opportunities and challenges. So what I think about these games? Well, they are absolutely gorgeous to look at. I love those little boxes and the pouches. You can bring them basically wherever, at a game night at a pub or maybe on holidays. And the drawer's idea is absolutely cool. The mechanics are quite simple and everybody can play them. These are chess-like games, so every play will be different, except for the horse race, where you have to throw the sticks and see what happens. If I had to pick one, probably I will choose Hasami Shogi, but also the horse race is a lot of fun. And that's it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll answer as soon as I can. If you like my videos, please subscribe to the channel. So, thank you for watching, I am Flavio il Meeple con la camicia and stay tuned!